Welcome to Family Man Freedom. Now, if you're new to this channel, you should know that Family Man Freedom is about encouraging dads to spend more time with their kids. Our belief is that kids spell love T-I-M-E, and the only way that you can give them that time is by choosing to take time out of your crazy busy schedule, which I'm sure you have, and give it to your kids. Now, one of the ways that and in my house we spend intentional time with kids is to play games. So I just wanted to come on here and say there are games you can play that everybody understands the rules, that you can get ready to play, you can play and be done and have a really good intentional time with your kids in 10, 15 minutes where you're able to spend that time playing with your kids, talking with them. Oftentimes, good conversations come after you've connected. So you might want to have a good conversation with your kid, and what you need to do first is connect with them, or you need to spend time connecting with your kids so when they need to talk with you about other big things, you've made that relationship. So I want to go over 4 different games that we have. Actually, it's 3 and then kind of like a little bit of a wild card. So all the games that I have right now are card games, and they're just quick ways that you can get in and out of a fun time with your kids. So let's start off. Our first one, and as always we come to, is Uno is always one of our options. Now, I don't know how people keep getting the same cards back in the Uno box. I think I've ripped like 10 different Uno boxes, so we just end up sticking it inside of a little Ziploc here. Uno is a game that pretty much everybody knows how to play. If your kids are younger, it's a good way to teach them numbers and to teach them colors. And it's a really quick game for, I think we were playing this as early as 3 with my kids. So Uno is definitely a game that you can get through a whole game pretty quickly. Usually what we do is we do a slightly modified version where we'll play through one whole deck, and whoever has the most wins after one whole deck. And sometimes it goes pretty quick, sometimes it doesn't, and we just end it there. So it's a way to put like a limiting time factor on it. So Uno is definitely one of our go-tos. Next one that we have is Spot It. Now, it doesn't have to come in this fancy container. This one was the Spot It Fire and Ice. But the idea of Spot It is that we have these cards, and the way that it's designed is that every card, if I get my face out of it, it'll zoom. Every card has these symbols, not all of the same, but every card will have one match with every other card. So let's see. What are the matches on these ones? Is it the mammoth? No, it's not the mammoth. It might take what? The palm tree. So both these cards have the palm tree. So quickly, you go through, everybody gets a card to start with, and you go through the entire deck. Fun game. It's pretty fast. You can probably get through 3 or 4 games of this within a 10 or 15 minute time. So that's Spot It. They have a lot of different versions of Spot It. The next one that we found is another card game that you can get and set up. As long as you're not trying to get to like the end goal, like these games are pretty good. So this one's called SkyJo. SkyJo's, you get some cards. It looks like it's set up very similar to Uno, but you're going to give yourself like a set of cards, and the goal is to collect the cards. You have a certain amount of turns, and the goal is to get as low of a score as possible, where some of the cards are like negatives, and they go up to, I think, a 12. It helps a lot with counting and things like that. If your kids are young, again, you can teach colors and things like this with these games. But the main thing is that we're spending intentional time with our kids, connecting over something, and laughing, and joking, and maybe throwing in a couple questions about how the day was during that time. But you should be spending time playing games with your kids. Now, if you don't have the ability to buy games for some reason, if you can't, I'm sure you can find Uno at a local thrift store or something like that. But what I would recommend is maybe you have a regular deck of playing cards. Something that I was able to do is say we wanted to play a game like Uno. Well, with a regular deck of cards where you have hearts and diamonds, say those are, and then you also have spades and you have clubs, say that you're going to play where you have numbers and you also have the suits. So there's 4 colors in Uno, and then you have numbers here. So you're going to basically play the exact same game as Uno, maybe make the aces wild, or maybe make the kings wild, or something like that. But you can play basically the exact same game as Uno with a regular deck of cards. Or maybe matching, where you're going to lay them all out, and you're going to say the reds match with each other. So if you have a 7 of hearts and a 7 of diamonds, you're going to lay them all out, and if you can pull the 7 of hearts and 7 of diamonds, then we're going to count that as a match, because it's a red and the same number. So a lot of different games you can play with this. You can't necessarily do a spot it with this. You probably could come up with something pretty similar to the SkyJo rules with a regular deck of cards. So even if you only have a regular deck of cards, you don't have to be stuck with things like poker, blackjack, which those are good counting games also, but you can just play some of these simpler games like an Uno or SkyJo or other games with, or matching with a regular deck of cards, so you can spend time looking your kids in the eye, laughing with them, spend time with them, and let them know with your time that you love them. Well, I hope that this content was good for you. If you like it, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And overall, we're here to encourage you, dads, to spend more time with your kids. Take care.